Hi, this is Karma. Travis Eborn and I are sharing the topic of children's websites and usability issues for designing for kids. And this is taken from an article in 2010. The article was based on two studies that were done 9 years apart. They felt like a lot of children's websites were designed based on how they thought children might use the websites, but there wasn't a lot of study. So they pulled these children in and viewed them using the websites and asked them to talk about their thinking process as they used them, and that's where they've taken the information from. The first study used children from ages 6 to 11. The second, they included ages from 3 to 12. So there was a big jump in subject age for the second study. They feel like children younger and younger are using the internet, so it was appropriate to broaden their age range. Most aspects of usability don't change much in 9 years since they're determined mostly by characteristics of the brain rather than by changing technologies. Also, the user pool in adults studies is a lot more steady because the range is so wide from ages 20 to 80 that 83% of users will be the exact same people from one decade to the next, whereas in a child's study, the turnover is total and complete. And the youngest subject in 2001 was only 6, but by 2010 they were 15 and too old to be included in the study at all. So there's 100% turnover in study subjects. And also, child computer use time has tripled, and researchers have all found that the best predictor of how children will use a website is how much online practice they have. So that really changed the user issues for children. So after the second study, the number of usability guidelines for children's websites went from 70 to 130. They said there were a couple of reasons for that. They tested newer sites that do newer things. There's a lot more interactive material on children's websites now than there used to be, so it brought up lots more usability issues. Also, the extending of age groups brought up more usability issues because it had to consider the needs of very young children. Their key advice ended up being to target content to a narrow age range, and I know Travis will touch on this as well, but there is a big variation between 3-year-old users and 12-year-old users. Their reading ability, their dexterity for mouse control and scrolling, and their years of experience is really a big difference between younger users and older users. The website on the left here was designed for all kids, and there is a big variation in the activities that are provided on this page, from a coloring page that could be used for really young children to the Pop Art Pixies page that's actually kind of a beginning social networking page for older children where they can get on and post about their activities. So it would be really challenging, especially for the younger users, to find the content that was targeted for them in a page that has so many options. Whereas the website on the right, Kelly's Kindergarten, was designed and listed as being specifically for kindergarten age students, which makes it much more user friendly. They also suggested that it's really important to keep it clear. This is a usability issue for adults as well, but particularly with children. Need to minimize distractions, make the navigation clear. They said in this Sesame Street site was used in both of their studies, and both times these navigation buttons along the bottom also doubled as xylophone notes. As children moused over them, it would play different notes, but it was too distracting for children, too confusing. They've now fixed it. Those are simply navigation buttons at this point, but it's important. Even though they thought they were doing something cute and interactive, it needs to be clear and not cluttered, not too distracting. Also, younger children don't scroll well. They said the youngest test subjects had really difficulty with the fine motor skills that it required to scroll, but children 9 and older actually do better scrolling, for instance, through a report on one longer page than reading through content on several smaller ones. So again, it's important to target a specific age. And as far as scrolling issues go, here's some examples. This Jitterbug site, there's not even a scroll bar on it. The entire site is viewable in one page. The kids can click on the pictures that represent these music videos, and that was a fun site that would be really easily usable for really young users. In this site, the Sesame Street site again, It required scrolling, but the only information that you had to scroll to get to was for parents. So this was still really usable for children because the part that they needed to access did not require scrolling. However, in this last one, the Crayola site again, it had 12 activities available on this page, and only one is fully visible without scrolling. So even the simpler activities that are meant for younger children, it was much harder for them to maneuver and get to those activities because they were all down the page too far for them to access easily. So lots of things to consider. There was a lot of content in this article, and Travis will focus more on some more usability issues for children. Thanks.